Our next session is on the very exciting subject of designing for Bharat, connecting people, places, and urban plan. For this, we have eminent speakers lined up. The session will be conducted by architect Vatsal Joshi, founder, director, Associated Architects Private Limited. Since 1993, Mr. Vatsal Joshi has actively worked on around 700 plus projects globally. He has a keen interest in designing institutional projects such as academic institutions, government offices, assembly house, etc. He is proactively working for the betterment of the design fraternity by leading projects within the institutions like Indian Institute of Architects as Ahmedabad Center Chairperson and Indian Institute of Interior Designers as Chapter Chairperson. May I please request you to be here on stage, sir? Can we have a huge round of applause for him, everybody? Our speakers, let me introduce you the speakers in alphabetical order. I welcome Mr. Paresh Sharma, Senior Fellow, World Resource Institute, India. Mr. Sharma recently retired as the Chief Town Planner of the Gujarat Infrastructure Development Board, Department of Industries, Government of Gujarat. He has also held the position of Joint Secretary, Urban Development Department, Government of Gujarat for more than 7 years. He has over 35 years of experience in framing urban policy and legislation, urban governance and administration, management of public land, formulating development plans and land pooling schemes, urban finance, appraisal, management and implementation of projects. Can we have you here, sir, please? Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. The next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, the next panelist, Mr. Parth Patel. He's not here with us, but we have Ms. Parul Zaveri, Principal Architect Abhikram. Parul Zaveri is an architect from SEPT Ahmedabad. She co-founded Abhikram in 1979. She pursued alternative technologies and use of solar energies and recycling course of Arcosanti and Cosanti foundations with architect philosopher Paolo Solari in Arizona, USA. She has been visiting faculty of School of Interior Design, SEPT University and National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. May I have you here, ma'am, please? I'm an alumni of SID SEPT. Dr. Vatsal Patel, next speaker, founder Setu Infrastructure. Dr. Vatsal Patel is also the past president, Gujarat Institute of Civil Engineers and Architects. He started his career as a structural engineer, then served local government in urban planning policy making. He was a technical consultant of Gujarat and member of National Building Code Sanction Committee. His expertise lies in urban governance and execution of large public projects. Dr. Vatsal Patel, so please join us on the stage. And I now request our moderator to please take over the proceedings ahead. So.
Hello. Yeah. So it's an eminent panel here, and I'm actually at loss of words because I have learned under you, and it is a privilege that I am getting to moderate this. Before I start, before we start actually on this, what comprises of this panel is essentially professional, unless you were part of government, but otherwise we are all professionals. So my first question that goes out, and the topic we are talking about designing for Bharat and connecting people, places and urban planning. How much is it in control, or is it in within a professional to really change things which are essentially in the domain of government? So as an individual or even as a group of, you are president of GICA, we are currently holding IIA in Ahmedabad. Even as a group, is it first of all possible to bring about a change? And I think I'll start with you, Vatsal bhai.
Thank you, Vatsal. Uh, Very relevant question, and normally we, the Indians, believe that it's not possible. But I'm slightly different than that. See, any change is possible if it is a teamwork. If we are doing, we means not the only professionals, but we means the Indian public, Indian politicians, Indian planners, or you can say the Indian administrators. These three are the major character into such type of change or the development process. And if we three decide at our own level, then such type of change can be possible, because any type of change is possible due to the teamwork. And this team is definitely with these three type of people. I have lots of example, but I give you one simple example, small example at our local level, the Sabarmati Riverfront project. You can say that small project, comparatively the very huge and big project, but once administrator decided, Krishna Varma, that they want to do this, once these politicians, means planner, you can say, Surendra Bhai Patel, he decided to do this. And third, the Ahmedabadi people, they decided, yes, we want such type of public places in Ahmedabad. And now you see that after this 7 to 10 years of the starting of the project and end of the project is already executed and people are enjoying. So I definitely say that, yes, it is possible.
All right, I'm coming to you, Paresh bhai, because you've been in both the situations with the government. Now you are on your own also. How much do you endorse Vatsal bhai's point of view?
Thank you, Vatsal bhai. See, what, I mean, both Vatsal, it's difficult to distinguish, but I mean, you are senior or junior?
I'm junior to everybody.
So senior Vatsal, whatever he said is very much true. I'll give you many examples for it. I mean, I've worked for, not for only Ahmedabad, but for the entire state as well. Right now I'm working with Telangana, Mizoram, Odisha, several other states, you see. Point is, I'll give you a simple example of Surat after plague, which was in 94, yeah. See, single leadership could change the entire Surat's economy. Today what Surat is, it is completely different than what it was or one would have perceived prior to 94. Now, if there is a determination, if there is leadership, if there is a program and policy supports, professionals also, everything comes together, it makes a difference. It does make a difference. It cannot be through one person, it cannot be through some legislation, it cannot be through some specific projects or something. Another example was post-earthquake, the revitalization, rehabilitation of Kutch cities. That is another example. Of course, it may not be relevant in normal parlance of urban development, but it does make a difference. It has made a difference. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, toilet program of Government of India, that is also one of the programs which I would call, it's not government's program, but it's people's program. That has again made a change. But determination, leadership, backed by policies, appropriate frameworks of administration, that helps and that makes a difference. And that it's not in Gujarat, everywhere in the country we see and things do happen. I mean, to start with, that is what is I can say.
Thank you, Paresh bhai. Arvind, when I come to you, I obviously will talk about the policy that you had proposed for Udaipur, even for Jaipur, I guess. As professionals, you had kind of come across and revived the traditions in that sense. How much was it fruitful entire process that the government took positive things from it?
Well, in the first place, I would like to say that as professionals, all of us have, if you believe in a cause, you have to continue to hammer that cause into everyone's mind, heart, everything. Because at all levels, whether it's a government or it's people or it's your client. So in Udaipur, that was the beginning. Of course, conservation had been tried out by Professor Kulbhushan Jain and Meenakshi Ben in very small, at a very small scale in Jaisalmer. But when we started working with, of course, Intac in Udaipur, it took a different turn because there were committed people there and they were also influential. They had influence, they were part also of the government. Then people like the Maharana and the Oberois and all, everyone's efforts with people worked. In Jaipur also we had a similar situation in Amer and Jaipur, and we saw that the arts and crafts, 21 arts and crafts have been revived. And it has gone further, but unfortunately, and even in conservation, it took us 20 years to convince government in Jaipur. But once they were convinced, you can see that conservation is there, has become their agenda. In the first Rajasthan Urban Development Program, we convinced the chief officer to put aside 50 crores for conservation of Amer and certain areas of Amer and Jaipur. And he did take that risk. And that was the beginning of putting that in infrastructure project, and it has continued so far. But government does not strictly follow up on policies. That's the problem. At the same time, education is another sector that we have to bring in. We have to make people aware from that level. Once that is done, I think we can achieve a lot.
I can vouch for what you're saying because it has kind of bring about a very sensitive way. Even most of the cities in Rajasthan have taken their arts and traditions very seriously. So as the first round of questions, I think we are convinced that we can bring about a change. As a professional, as a team, as a group, we sure can. So now we move on to the actual question of connecting people, places and urban planning, and that is for Bharat. So, I mean, in this new age situation where we are talking about AI and everything, what does connect mean to each of you? I think we can start from there and then we can move on to the other aspect, because the definition of connection have kind of really changed. And you used to go to meet somebody on a scooter and wait for some time. Today's generation is very different and very kind of instant. So what, according to you, is the connection that we can bring about for our own India?
See, first of all, one thing we should agree that whatever the change we are expecting, that cannot be possible overnight. So with connection to the last discussion, I must say that when you see your past 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, then you really realize that, oh, ye to pehle tha nahi, ab itna change aa gaya hai. So immediately you may deny that there is no change, but yes, slowly always change is going on, and it's an unavoidable circumstances because of the changes. This very important point is the connecting the people with the places. See, whatever AI or whatever the new technology or whatever the social media is there, it is compulsory and it is must for a human being to use the public places. And there is a need for good quality public places in the particularly urban area, Because at the end of the day, you required some breathing space at the city level. Whatever for the entire 8 years shift or 6 hours shift, you work like a donkey. But at the end of the day, when you feel, or at the end of your week, you feel that, okay, I want to go out. And for that, these type of places is important. See, AI and social media is good to interact, or to be very frank, just good for business. But genuine feelings and genuine understanding the human need, you require a public places, and not simple type of public places. Because nowadays, because of this type of social media, we know that what is the good quality of public places. So for countries like us also, we required a certain type of quality of public places in the urban area, and that will be the real lungs, and it will affect the mental health of the urban citizens. So I fully agree that the importance of such type of public places, open spaces within the city is playing very vital role in coming days, coming years.
Very well said. Parulben, what are your thoughts on, again, I'll kind of tweak it a little bit, because to adapt to new age solutions, are we also ready in that sense? And especially when you're talking about public spaces, connecting people, connecting places, are we ready on that front?
See, you have to understand that there has to be a change, but that change has to be with a continuity. What has happened is that there has been a break from your past, and we blindly follow the West. And it has been done by design by Britishers, and we've fallen into that trap, and we continue with it. The need for creating public places was always there in history, in past also. What happened is that, as we had learned during our studies on conservation, etc., and history, that Britishers took a decisive step in separating out all the elite crowd. If you see, all their havelis, all their palaces were part of the city. It was mixed income housing, and people could approach whoever they wanted to, even if they were higher up. But intentionally they made all the palaces go out, except in the case of Udaipur, because they were not under British. The rest of the places, if you see Jodhpur or any other place, they made them go out, go away. You also see Shahi Bagh was created, by giving them some special status, etc., etc. And we are doing that today also. Mixed land use and mixed income is what will keep us together, which will again keep, the stresses that you have in society today that you see will become less. And I've also been talking, after we got this, your mail, to the younger generation. And they say that, see, today there is lack of trust, one thing. So you want to approach someone and still you're afraid. And many people are now into AI, doing their own work. There are so many startups, but you don't have a place created for us to go and sit. Either you have to use a cafe, because you have your startup with your computer. Can government create such places which are cheaper for us to access? That's one thing. Another thing, that something like Happy Street that they have in Bhubaneswar, those are things required. Then there was some kind of a kitchen where someone is paying for the goods there, but then anyone and everyone can come and cook and share that. So people, I'm told that those experiments were done in quite a few cities, and they were very successful. So can we think of doing things together? That's one thing. And how can we break the divide? And it's happening more and more. Like, people from the city went out from the walled city, which was a cohesive unit. Then now they are further going away, because it was COVID, and then it is like status symbol that, oh, now we don't want to stay here. They'll sell their beautiful houses and go and live in expensive flats, which I can never understand. Why would you want to do that? Because when there'll be earthquake is imminent, it's definitely going to be there. That's when they will come back. I don't know what's going to happen. And then that divide is created more and more. And how do we break that? That is also has to come through education. Like you're in a hi-fi school, and where only millionaires attend, the children attend. So they don't even know what's happening into the other side of the world. And I was definitely with my daughter, because she traveled with us and she came to the palaces and all other places, and other place, that she would also go and play with the slum children.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that divide has to kind of come down. Parashbhai, when I come to you, and since you have the legacy of working with the government, and you currently also, I mean, essentially all the real estate guys here know that we kind of are cut off by 40% of the land that you own, and the government takes it up. How much of that really is transformed into communal spaces, community gathering spaces, public spaces? And I mean, is it the right number, first of all, and does it help in making a place, a city better, is my question to you.
You are, I don't know how to answer your question. You see, you see, 40% or 50% doesn't matter much. You take, I mean, we have examples of 20% to 50%. As well, during my career, we have taken away 60%. In Hyderabad or in, I mean, northern part of the country, 60 to 75% land is taken away. It's not that we take away what land for public domain. More important to me is how you design those spaces. See, that is most important. I mean, the trend, what I have been observing since last 10, 15 years, you need wide streets, more money, and that is sacrificing all places of interaction. Nothing, no person with an 18-meter wide road, which people expect everywhere in a town planning scheme, and perhaps most of the schemes are designed that way only, which destroys the entire fabric. That is one main point. We do not have appropriate sense of designing spaces. Unlike what Parul Ben was referring about Jaipur or Udaipur or other spaces, those are designed with some intentions of creating spaces like a chalk. Like in case of Jaipur, you have chalks. They are so much interactive. I mean, we don't find anything which is there well, I mean, somehow our policies, design practices, either as professionals within the government or outside the government, that doesn't matter much. But our design sense is leading to economic exploitation of the resources. That is first point. Where we have lost human values. I mean, the first aspect what Parul Ben was saying, since I'm working with Bhubaneswar, Happy Cities is one of the best programs, and today maybe the per capita income of Odisha or Bhubaneswar will be lesser than Ahmedabad. But I find people are so happy over there, so beautifully designed. I mean, the sense of living, their sense of interaction with spaces, sense of interaction, that is because of design. Although Gandhinagar and Bhubaneswar both were designed in parallel time, duration, but both the designs have made a so huge change. I mean, I would say that first designing of cities or designing of spaces, first very much important, and which as professionals and anywhere outside within government or academicians, we are not concentrating on that. That is first point. Second, even though if we create spaces, we are not able to manage those spaces properly. I mean, the first attempt perhaps, I mean, I don't know how correct it would be that Sindhu Bhavan Road after local area planning is one indicator which can, by simple change of principles of barrier-free environment, has made a change. I mean, maybe it is not, it is in present context it is right. Maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you will require changes. Design, dynamics of design, that is important, and then management of spaces. Sindhu Bhavan today is considered to be one of them, and that is adding to real estate market also. So that designing should continue. Who will manage those spaces? Right now it's difficult to manage the right of in the paved area also. Now that between the paved area till the building line, that also is to be managed. Now taking away 40% land, or now in case of Sindhu Bhavan, it is now the, it's more than 60% land which is in public domain. Now that question has to come, and who will do that? That's a big question. Now these are the two aspects, and no legislation can improve upon it. No legislation will help us in creating it. It can give a balance of what people should do it. But I believe like Main Streets program in USA, like the one you were referring about, Happy Streets program, there are several examples which other than places, connecting people is through programs. I mean, the small space in the evenings, if it is used for some public concerts or public spaces, that can connect people more than what it could have been. 90% of our public spaces are unused, even though if we take 40% or 50% or 60%, percentages doesn't matter. I mean, that is firstly your answer to you. And second is design and management. This is, and that management can be, and then the programs, our all urban planning principles, our urban design principles are not backed by proper program, how to use it. I mean, that's.
So in that case, the onus comes back to the professionals, as I understand. Of course, the government is there to execute, but the ideas that have to be floated, and especially when I talk about Indian context and not taking anything from the West. I see Yatin Bhai here. I mean, he's been telling this about the way Manek Chowk has been transformed from morning to the evening to the night. That is one example of a public space which is we kind of connects people. What do you think is, and I think you already mentioned it, is one is the education part, that it has to come from the beginning. If that sensitivity does not come in the professionals from the beginning, it is never going to come about in the real. But what other aspects do you think are essential to bring about the change that is required for our Indian context?
Incentives created by the government and by CSR also. If they do genuine CSR, a lot can happen. We need to take them into the folds of changing Bharat. And maybe again, see, another thing for open spaces. We used to have green belt. If you look at Bombay, it has that green belt in the center, which has made a lot of difference. You have Oval Maidan, and then you have the cricket place and all that. Here, we used to have green belt all around to restrict the growth of the city.
Yeah.
If we had taken them radially, green belts, as the city grows, in sections, it starts growing. You know, that this green space, whatever space they are taking away, if it can keep growing with it as a belt, a lot can happen within that. Because another thing is, there's a book called Hungry City. The city, as it expands, it has a lot more hunger. It eats away all the agricultural land. We never look at that part, that industries are put in also agricultural land. Gandhinagar is built in one of the best agricultural land. China has bought agricultural land all over the world in huge expanse. I mean, hectares and miles and miles. They're not stupid. They know that they will someday need that. And what happened during COVID? In UK, because the farmers are not farming, they had to import. They keep on importing and there was crisis for food. Are we going to create the same crisis here? If you keep having such belts, which also can have these farming activities of people, the city dwellers. What we are talking of the city gardening, creating your own kitchen gardens, etc. Your milk comes from elsewhere. Can we think of a city in a different way like this? That's
I take your point. Vasalbhai, I come to you with a similar question, but as we are talking about not importing ideas from West, but one idea that I find interesting is what is called a 15-minute city. We, as cities grow, have been traveling 1 hour, 2 hour, Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore. I mean, you are stuck in traffic for 2 hours and nowhere to go. This idea of a 15-minute city, can it be really implemented in our scenario? And I mean, you get better life in the sense that you have more time for your family, your professional life, everything. This whole thing is obviously a very large vision, but do you see it is coming into a reality in Indian context?
Definitely. Actually, this 15-minute city is not a new concept. It is basically our own heritage. नीचे पान की दुकान, ऊपर गोरी का मकान. So in the same premises, ground floor is occupied for commercial activity and the first floor is occupied for the residential. It's very common, all the cities of our ancient cities, they functional accordingly, because at that time transportation was not so easy. So सीधा ऊपर से नीचे उतरो, काम करो और वापस अपने घर. Only socializing point of view people travel, or only recreation point of view people travel. For work point of view hardly people travel. So it is not a new concept, but just when we are talking about today's contest, I must say that the Ahmedabad or Gujarat town planning basically is actually heading towards that, because now we do not have, before 2000 we have pure commercial zones, pure residential zones, pure such type of local area commercial zones. But after 2000, the last two development plan, we have all the mixed use zone and depending upon the road width. So you can say, of course there are so many debates on it, whether the residential and commercial mixed together is a good concept or not. But I must say that because of that situation, now it is possible that with the minimum traveling distance, you can get the jobs, or you can get the opportunity to get the your basic need for the day-to-day life. So I definitely, I'm very much hoping for such type of thing, that 15-minute city, or maximum you can say that in transportation planning we always said that if one can travel more than 45 minutes by their own vehicle, then only public transport can be viable, because normally people used to travel up to 45 minutes by their own. This is one ballpark figure, find out with the lots of studies. But I can say that even 30-minute travel distance is available, and if you get the job, nowadays people prefer to do that. And this is definitely the future. Every time we expanding the roads and every time we try to push the people for the public transport or private transport or whatever the way of transportation, definitely it will not going to work. And last point that I want to share with you, I had one interactions or small study with the group of people who is working in the office of 120 employees. And I asked them at that time from where they are coming and which mode of transport they are using. And then we ask them for the suggestions that if you get some nearby accommodation, then do you prefer to come by bicycle or by walking? You can't believe 95% said yes. So people like to do such type of concepts.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's saving time and, but yeah, Parveen, you wanted
Yeah,
to come
I
in.
wanted to
But
say-
I want to add at this, and as Vatsal bhai said, it was always in our kind of backyard that the houses and the આપણે ઓળ કહીએ છીએ ત્યાં આગળ નીચે દુકાન ને ઉપર મકાન છે એ સેન્સિબિલિટીઝ ચેન્જ થઈ ડ્યુ ટુ ધ નીડ્સ the way cities grew. Again, we are talking about going back to those scenarios. I'm just putting things in perspective એટલા માટે કે because you've been working a lot in this Udaipur and Jaipur, those scenarios, are they still workable? I'm just trying to throw a different perspective to that.
Sorry, come again.
So those scenarios of having હમણાં જેમ કીધું કે નવા મિક્સ યુઝ scenarios છે, are they still workable in the current age?
We have to make them workable. It has to be the will to make it workable. In the first place, I see the cities, our large cities, as the firefighting cases. So instead of concentrating on them, just do what is necessary to stop the, douse the fire. But we have these 15-minute cities almost waiting for us everywhere. The advantage that we have in our place, I'm not talking about Rajasthan, but say Gujarat, Kerala, all such states, that your villages are just 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away from each other. 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers, right? Why don't we connect them, give those 5 or 10 villages, each cluster, make them into this 15-minute city? Instead of expanding the city, going beyond the limits, and those also should have a limit to growth. And you give them these facilities, they don't want to go out.
Yes.
The minute Gujarat gave electricity to people all 24 hours, which is not necessarily so, but at least it was not unpredictable totally. For farmers, it was not unpredictable that the light has come, so everyone runs to start their pump or anything like that, and by the time they reach their farm, it's gone. When Modi ji came, he gave 8 hours slots. That helped a lot. Many people with electricity getting back into the villages, they went back. And some of our office people went back, and they were so happy living in their village. Their health had issues here, all those medicines had gone. Their expenses came down. So can we not look at that? Can we not just change our mindset and not follow the West again? We have to create our own,
Of course.
write our own story.
Yeah. So I think I have 7 minutes left, and I think I'll come to a last question for all of you. And that is, let us, I mean, we talked about the challenges that we have faced and we are facing currently. But let us talk about, end this session with a positive note, in the sense that I want from each of you, and you have already also mentioned, but I want a reconfirmation that what has worked for India? What examples can we kind of boast about? And if there is a tweaking to be done, that's fine. But let us put across to the audience examples that have really worked and that can be followed or groomed upon or can be things to really change the way other challenges are to be mitigated. I think Paresh bhai, we can start with you because your work experience across India will probably bring that more value.
You see, I mean, we are talking for as an example for across pan-India.
Yeah, and examples that have really worked well.
Point
in the context of the topic that we're talking about, connecting people.
See,
and
point
places.
is, no solutions are which can work across the country. That's impossible. First is, like, I'll take a few minutes. Town planning schemes which we feel are good. I definitely say that it can achieve all the objectives of 15 minutes walk if we design properly. It can achieve the objectives of proper places to interact. If we design in some more better way, it can be better. That is first example that we have demonstrated in Gujarat, at least through town planning, how spaces, land can be acquired, how they can be designed. Now it is further more refinement and inclusivity has to brought in, how people can be incorporated in the design exercise. That's not the legislation or anything part, but it is, it's for all professionals in every area, they have to join together and can work. That is one thing I can talk. I mean, you see, same thing, we were dealing with Mizoram, Imphal, that is Aizawl, not Imphal, Aizawl. We had same town planning scheme, did not work there. We tried to bring in pod cities. Pod cities was the concept which had adopted, and then right now it is working. Like Happy Streets program, which is in Bhubaneswar, same town planning schemes does not work. Happy Streets program and some creating of better spaces is working beautifully. I mean, I would say one of the programs which I have witnessed, it is working very well. That's what my answer would be to.
Okay, what's up, yeah.
See, open spaces or whether is a public places. Very important point is how you want to, two different things. One is the urban planning and another is the urban design. Good urban planning is required for connecting the people with the places, but at the same time to bring the people to the places you require good urban design. So that is very important, and such type of lots of example you can find in our country. Like just now I visited the New Delhi and the new design Central Vista. Flooded with the people, flooded with the people. Now you find proper parking, good quality of urban infrastructure, particularly to reach that place, and people are enjoying like anything. The same way I give you this example of my local example, Sabarmati Riverfront project. Originally river were there and it was an open space. But after designing the riverfront project, it is meaningful urban design and meaningful use of that open land. And whenever I visit the Sabarmati riverfront and I see lots of couple, particularly enjoying that open space, I really feel job satisfaction. Hardly you will find such a beautiful places for the youngsters, for the couples. So see, such type of good design with good infrastructure definitely attract the people from the urban areas, and that may be the places where your interaction with other type of people. Other type of people means not only with the same type of cross section of the society, but different type of cross section of the society. They are also enjoying such type of things. I give you last example of Ahmedabad, this newly designed Victoria Garden. If you did not visit it, please visit it. Newly designed Victoria Garden, excellent place, excellent happening place. Last example is the urban forest at the Sabarmati riverfront near Vasna barrage. If you did not visit, please visit it. At least in this monsoon, be conscious because lots of snakes and everything is there, but you can find the real forest within the Ahmedabad on the Sabarmati riverfront. So yes, connecting people with this type of projects is possible with good quality of design, with meaningful design, with meaningful inputs from the society also. This is my submission.
And I'll, Parulbene kidhu e pramane CSR, if you talk about a similar forest, Symphony Forest Park, very well done CSR project where they created a forest within the urban park, and a corporate like symphony can come about and change the way the parks are done. So I think, yeah, Parban, your turn.
Hello, can you hear me? Ah, okay. See, we are now into festivals. You see many more people getting involved into festivals. So can we create spaces, more spaces for festivals? Such smaller festivals at local level. It becomes a craze, like Ganesh, nu chhe, it starts, all night they go on for Ganpati Visarjan, etc., etc. Can we make all these places, I'm sorry, I'm not that positive, but like the lake edges, the way they are handled in different places, more in Rajasthan and other places, where people do enjoy that, like our riverfront. But my only objection would be that it should be in stone, brick and lime. The materials that would last for thousands of years, not something that is short-lived and 75 years maximum.
I'll tell you what, Vatsal, we had invited me. We were there in the corporation big conference hall, and Bimal Bhai was presenting this project, and Nimish Bhai was obviously there, and he used this word, મને આ મારા કહેવું છે એટલા માટે કે મને કે એક આર્કિટેક્ટ તરીકે બોલાયો છે પણ કે મને એક અમદાવાદી તરીકે બોલવાની છૂટ છે કે નહીં એમ. And then he had a lot of objections that he raised, but yeah, of course, I mean, there can be always debates on that, but all said and done, it is something that probably Ahmedabad is breathing currently. With the way that it is done, it is really, I mean, you can see people jogging, cycling, yoga, Zumba, whatever. A lot of things are really happening at that pace.
It has created an example for people to follow, but because you had to have one example. So that was done. And whatever are the shortcomings of that should not be repeated in other rivers. That's my only thing. But whatever it has given as a positive thing, it's there. There is no takeaway from that.
All right. Any last words, Vatsal bhai? But before we wrap up, I think what has come about is that, yes, it is possible. Yes, we can take an approach which is very Indian, very local. Of course, India is so vast, as Paresh bhai has said, no examples can be also replicated across India. Local situations, climate, people will influence the local design. But all in all, I think what we can at least conclude on this session is that we are ending on a positive note with positive examples across, maybe not in complete sense, but in parts. And it will be an endeavor which is work in progress. All of us work put together, professionals, government, local citizens, that will bring about the change. Any last words? It's open for you.
I really want that we all, you know, conclaves like this, make people commit for CSR, genuine CSR, commit that we must change the education system, must change our approach. And at the same time, interact, like how many of us go to the city, world cities? I think a visit that we start doing that, we will realize and help them to also become positive, start using these places which are dying. Some places, they are crowded. If we go there and CSR starts participating in that, we can change the face of walled city of Ahmedabad also. Because I wouldn't want to separate out that from Ahmedabad as such. And there is a lot of work required there and a lot of collaboration that is required there, that I would request from this platform for people to make. And maybe one day we will have such conclaves in the walled city, and that will help it to revive.
One, I mean, what Parul Ben said is very much right, but somewhere I don't think that CSR every time it works. You see, my point is, it does. I see what we are missing is we do not assign a value to such spaces, right? Like it's a social value which was given in cities like Jaipur or whatever places you mentioned. But today we do not assign any value. Like for example, Kamathi Bagh in Baroda, or for that matter, any gathering spaces which used to be there. I mean, sincerely I don't understand. For example, one big ground in case of Rajkot. I mean, these are gathering spaces which used to happen. Today also, every festival, Janmashtami festival in Rajkot or Saurashtra, whoever it comes, it's a celebration which makes a difference. And that is a value which is created, social value. Now, we do not have anything in our design elements which create social values. If you create social values, things would change. And then I don't think you require any CSR funding also. I mean, to start with, it is good to create infrastructure. But then to sustenance, long-term vision, we do not attach to that. That is very much important. Once we assign value, and then communication. We are very poor in communication, how people should interact, again I'll tell you, we are working for Bhubaneswar, this Happy Streets program. It is done since 6-7 years, and people communicating communicating to people, communicating across the states. That has made it vibrant. Now that is what we are missing. Any good street, one street if we design properly, and if we start communicating and assign value to it, it will make a great change. And that is what I believe such forums should address, that issue also, so that people start projecting this as a mode of creating a capital to the city. I mean, city capital should be such nature. Right? Thank you for giving.
Nothing much to say, lots of we already discussed, but last point that I want to share with you with this forum, that at least just try to use the open spaces in the city and try to give big advertisement for that. Use the social media. You visit the Sabarmati riverfront or you visit any public place and put it on social media. So people can able to understand that such type of places is available in the city and they are genuinely required. See, so many times people don't know that such a beautiful places are, now I'm not talking about only Ahmedabad, in every city. And the worst part is people are trying to spend money, spend time in the malls. Malls are not the right place to just window shopping. But instead of going mall, you can go to the any garden, good design garden, CSR activity gardens, lots of now under that, designed by one of the leading landscapers of our city. So I request this, all the forums, please visit at least open spaces which is available, meaningful spaces which is available in the city, and make it more popular. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And on this note, on a positive note, we end this. Thank you everybody for
Absolute wonderful, insightful session, and I thoroughly loved. In fact, I would like to add, because I left it on the social media that these places are there. It's very, very important. As we see in Uttar Pradesh, India's first Vedic park, theme park has been launched, and everybody knows about it because of the use of the social media. Right? Thank you so much, panelists. Everybody, let's put our hands together. And I request Mr. Ruchin Oza, founder and managing director, Solvo Elevators, to please come up and give the token of appreciation to all of our panelists. Starting with our moderator, architect Vatsal Joshi, founder director, Associated Architects Private Limited. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Paresh Sharma, Senior Fellow, World Resource India Limited. Mr. Paresh Sharma, Senior Fellow, World Resource Institute, India. Thank you so much, sir. Ms. Parul Javeri, Principal Architect, Vikram. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Vatsal Patel, Founder, Setu Infrastructure. And I request all the panelists to please step forward for a photo opportunity, please. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the panelists. Wonderful discussion.